Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, class. This is Professor Coyote welcoming to our new series that's going to be for Let's Play. Finally getting another game going. But I think it's good that we start with a story. Once upon a time, in the mid-'80s, there was a little boy whose parents were fairly geeky. They were the type that, even back when the kiddo was born, they were playing D&D with their friends, like the old Blue Book stuff. Enjoyed the new technologies that were coming out, and as they were growing up, and their kids were growing up, they started getting all sorts of nifty things. The first computer they got, and let's be honest, you can probably tell this little boy is me. The first computer we got back in mid-'80s was a Tandy SL. That is a very nostalgic computer, back when Radio Shack actually meant anything. And that was the first computer we had. Now, my folks were definitely geeky, and they actually got almost more games than they did to use the computer for really anything else. Because my dad was going to school at the time, and even when we moved, he was working a bit more, and my mom, she was working a little bit, trying to support the family while Dad was at school, and then later had quite a bit of free time on her hands. But they got a lot of. They made sure they got some games. I know some of the first games that I remember was EA Jack Nicklaus Golf, because my dad has always been a bit of a golf fan. The Space Quest, and one thing that actually we got was interesting, because my family were all Sierra heads. We got the Black Cauldron, which that's actually kind of rare nowadays. Interesting game, definitely like in the vein of Space Quest. But anyway, that doesn't have anything to do with anything other than to set the scene. For a game that is super duper nostalgic, because I remember my mom, and sorry for getting a bit emotional here. My mom would come and play this game for hours. We still found her notebooks that had notes, and trying to figure out the puzzles, and where things were on the map, little things, and it was really, it was frustrating for her, but it was really something she just liked, and I liked watching her play it. And I'd play it when I was younger too, but not to the extent my mom did. Oh, rah. In fact, she always claims she was the third person on the West Coast to beat this game. The game that, if you know this picture, some of you older people, older geeks, might actually recognize this picture. But the game in question, and yeah, I know, the reveal, because you can see probably the title, Starflight. Starflight is really nostalgic for me. And you can hear me getting all emotional, and unfortunately, because my mom is no longer with me, so you can understand how that kind of nostalgia is working. So the story of Starflight, because now that you understand my personal story of Starflight, is back in the early '80s, a bunch of guys, Binary Systems. These let's get down. These 5 chuckleheads, they got together and they decided, hey, let's make this cool game. Let's computer generate the planets. We'll seed this story in there. People can go and they can do stuff with it and land there and mine and interact with the aliens and that kind of thing. They put the game started in '83. It was released in '86, published by EA. This is back when EA wasn't the freaking monolith uh, Death Star that they are nowadays. This is back when EA actually seemed to care about gamers, and they throw some the bucks at some smaller companies. Always claim 15 man years because they're 5 people, and it took them 3 years to code this. So that's what they did. They coded this, and it is largely considered to be the first open world sandbox game because there is a plot. We'll get into that plot, but generally, aside from a few things that motivate you, even a little bit early on, you are free to go and just explore. To explore, figure out what's going on, talk to the alien races, go mining, that sort of thing. So, and it was revolutionary for the time. It had a sequel, which we might get to, Starflight 2, Trade Routes of the Cloud Nebula. You don't hear much about it anymore, and that's just almost heartbreaking, because Starflight was very, very respected at the time. The Star Control series is actually considered to be a spiritual successor, because some of the guys that worked on Starflight went to go work on that. You can see this in any game that does a open world or procedurally generated. I mean, you could basically trace, for good or for ill, games like even all the way up to No Man's Sky. With its billions and billions of procedurally generated planets, it basically owes a lot of its existence to this game, to Starflight. And that's what we're gonna play. This is gonna be a project. This isn't gonna be every day. I'm still gonna do the EU. I'm gonna get to another game. Probably we'll figure that out as we go along. But this is gonna be a project because I love this game. It's just I will warn you, it's gonna get tedious. In order to do a couple of things, you need to go around and mine and mine and mine and mine. I will try and see if I can cut some of that out. Or maybe I'll finally do ramble-tastic stories. I'll get my Northern Lion on. But we'll see. This first episode is just going to be explaining about the game and about what's going to go on. And then we'll get into the first kind of couple of episodes. But this is how much this game means to me. This is some of my, I'm not to say earliest, but some early memories when I was because this game came out when I was 6. So we got it after we moved to Oregon. We brought that Tandy with us. We're doing that. Mom would play this game, sometimes going on into the night, after work, and her little kiddo would be there, watching Mom play, and helping her when I could, or just talking things out, or maybe when I started to play, that it'd be the reverse. And Starflight just has such a deep, deep respect and love from me that many games just don't still have. I mean, there are a couple, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the NES. It's hard as balls, but that was one of the first NES games I ever got. That has that kind of just deep nostalgia. You know, a lot of Nintendo games, even a Game Gear holds a kind of nostalgia for me. But when it all comes back down to Starflight. So, for those of you who don't know, Starflight, like I said, it's an open world exploring game. We'll get into the plot. That's at the beginning. Well, what I mean by the plot is the stuff that is actually directing the you to go forward. Your initial objectives, if you will. Basically, you take the role of a starship captain and his little crew, just going out and trying to find planets and mine them. Um, stumble across the actual plot along the way. All of your hallmarks, your tropes of hard sci-fi, precursor races, interstellar battles, going out there and getting minerals and resources, finding new planets that are habitable, that kind of thing. There'll be things to note down. I mean, I'm not gonna be great at this because it's been a while. I will let you know right now. I do know what the actual full-on plot of this is, and I am going to do my absolute best to not do spoilers for people who haven't ever played Starflight. Obviously, the spoilers will be as it goes on, but we'll go there. Now, what we will go in is the background. It takes place in the year 4620. Yes, it does say October 30th because they do their dates European style. October 30th, 4619. So it actually takes place about 4619, 4620. The planet Arth. And this actually spells out a lot here in this the manual. The manual is awesome. It is so packed full of stuff. It's one of those in character kind of things. You have a bit. This is just going through here. You have people talking about what's going on in the plot, a explanation of things to go, and I'll do a quick thing of that when we start playing. What your each crew member does, a little bit of the lore that they can piece together in the actual thing, in character, in story. So basically, yeah, it's present day is 4620. A long time ago, or I should say, a long time in this game. So 2,500 years. About 2100, man finds this wonderful fuel called Endurium that essentially allows for interstellar travel. It goes a super photonic technology, faster than light. The great empire of man starts, and they do like man is wont to do, and they go out into the stars. They meet. Start sounding like Carl Sagan. Into the billions and billions of stars. To start to play Starflight, you must first invent the universe. Anyway, to make a long story short, man discovers a fuel that lets them go interstellar. They start meeting people, and things go on, and then a few wars happen, a few more wars happen, and Earth itself falls. About 30, let's see here, the timeline, it's like 3480. They launch an expedition to go out and find something to do. Yeah, the Noah 2 expedition, it goes out to try and find other places because Earth is having some issues. Somehow there is these nasties, the Gazertoids, and they go out there and See, this is also like here. You get this captain log from that expedition, and there's already some hints of where to think. See, 189.90. We'll look at that later. In fact, better make a note. 189.90. Or sorry, 189.190. No, I mean, seriously, that's those are definitely notes. That would be a place to go look at later. Anyway, so there's the first wave. We go out there. We discover a few people. Project Noah to go find a new place to land, to start colonizing other places. We colonize a planet called Arth because, of course, Earthlings are so original in their naming. And after Earth falls and the old Empire falls, things go kind of dark for a while. You get the old dark, you get about 1,000 years of Dark Ages. And then a re-industrial evolution, rediscovery of Endurium, and the Noah 2 ship. And they go exploring. And it's 5 years after, as you can see here, 5 years after things start really picking back up. You go out there and you buy and you find stuff, you mine it, and from there, we'll get our first episode. This is kind of going to be like episode 0. It's just explaining how things are going to go. First episode, we'll get into the game. We'll explain things like the copy protection. That's what this disc is. It was their copy protection. You'd spin it around. It gives you a couple things when you leave, when you launch, and they want a code. And that's how the copy protection worked. Of course, nowadays we've got ways around that. This is actually, if you ever want to buy this yourself, it's on Good Old Games. That and the sequel are on Good Old Games, and they even give you a program as part of the installing this. They'll give you a current batch of DOSBox. They'll give you all the manuals and everything, and also give you a thing to just put in. So we'll deal with that later. But that is something to look forward to. We're going to be doing Starflight. Like I said, it's going to be a project, so I'll be probably recording a few episodes every now and then posting them every now and then. So I'm going to try and get it fairly regularly. I don't think it's going to be like months at a time between episodes, like certain series I've been kind of neglecting. But I just felt like it's good to go for. And then we'll just have some fun playing Starflight, and hopefully it's all gonna be great. So, join us, will you? As now I know this isn't quite historical like the channel was originally supposed to be, but I think we've kind of went beyond that a little bit. I guess you could say it's historical in that this is from 1986, so we've just passed the 30th year anniversary last year of this game. And, yeah, I think that we're going to have some fun. We'll do some exploring. Hey, feel free to give me some tips if you want. I mean, I'm an old hat at this game, but it's been a while since I played it. I don't want to be all like, I could play this game in my sleep. Well, yeah, I could probably speed rush it too if I really wanted to, but who wants that? I'm not doing a speed run. It's going to be a fun Let's Play. Anywho, so that'll be something to look forward to. We're going to do Starflight, and, yeah. Like I said, this game and I go back 30 years. Well, I hope you have a great rest of your day. And with that, class dismissed.